David Stevens will be able to play. He had a good week of practice. Alec Lemon, we still don't know. And I'm not trying to hide that. I really don't know yet. Obviously, Justin Pugh is out. Adrian Fleming's out. They handle all the things about who's going to be able to play or not. And then obviously John Raymond, we're still working together with the NCAA. So we haven't had a final decision on that yet. And nor do I know when that will end or when we'll get that final decision. Obviously, we're going down. We're playing a great football team in USC down at MetLife Stadium. We understand the advantages for us going down there from a recruiting standpoint, from a development standpoint, from the opportunity to be able to play in a great venue, which entices us specifically in the recruiting. What people may not know is that since it is a home game, there will be recruits there. There are some rules that, obviously we can't contact them, but they'll be able to attend the game. And we have a great deal of recruits coming to that game. We understand, as a university, as an athletic department, as the football coach, that there are a lot of challenges for our fans, especially in these economic times. So I sit here today and understand that. We're working hard on our fan experience at the Dome. I give a lot of credit to Dr. Gross, the marketing department, with the ribbons and the scoreboard. We're working very hard on the schedule. It's been a lot of changing times with conferences so that we can create a balance where we can all be happy on the decisions that we make. And that's what our goal is.
Take your questions.
Coach, everybody talks about USC and number 2 and all that kind of stuff, but there's also a pretty big opportunity here on Saturday, for SU.
There is, it's a great opportunity. It's a very challenging task. Having been on both sides of the fence, when you start talking about the top 3 or 4 teams in the country, you're talking about great football teams with great players. And, obviously we're not at that area yet where we'd like to be, and that's what we're ascending to and we're trying to get accomplished. And when you do that, you have a great opportunity. In it, you have to play a darn near perfect game. I've been on that side of the fence where we did play almost a perfect game and defeated a number 1 team. So, for our kids, it's very challenging. And when you do that and you create that challenge for the players, you have to be careful that you don't put too much pressure on them, because when you put too much pressure on to execute at a high level, those are where mistakes come. So, it's a very fine balance. We've had a good week of practice. I wouldn't say it was a great week. I wouldn't say it was a bad week. So we've had a good week of practice, and our players know exactly the situation they're in that opportunity that's out there for them. We have to go out there early. We have to withstand what USC has. They're very explosive in all 3 phases. They can hurt you. They're very well coached. I think what people don't see about a USC team is the small points. They do all the little things right. They're not just a bunch of great athletes out there just running around making plays. They're doing that, but they're doing it within their scheme, technically sound, and they're an excellent football team, and it's a great challenge for our football program.
Coach, conventional wisdom would think that you would want to keep the ball out of Barkley's hands. Would you be okay getting the shootout if it came to that, considering what you guys did this past week?
Well, I think again, what's funny is, and I've been part of this on all sides, is that when you have a great quarterback or you have a great explosive offense, it brings you back to the days of Oklahoma, when Coach Switzer was the coach at Oklahoma and they were running up 590 points a game. I happen to have the privilege of working with Coach Gary Gibbs, who was the defensive coordinator of that team. And I think outside of coaches that were going against an opponent, they never recognized how great those defenses were, at Oklahoma. And I think with USC, I get a lot of questions about Matt Barkley, which are deserved questions. He's an outstanding quarterback. Their offense, their receivers, their line, all deserving questions. But really, their defense is outstanding. There hasn't been a lot of talked about of USC's defense. Knowing Coach Kiffin, knowing Ed Ogeron, who's had an experience here, knowing the way they coach and watching those players perform, they have excellent players on defense. So to answer your question is, if we have to be low scoring and slow the game down and win it, we're in it to do it. If it has to go high scoring at the end of the game, we're going to have to be able to go ahead and accomplish that. But I think early on in the game, USC does a great job of controlling the tempo of the way they want to play the game, and we have to make sure that we can mess with that tempo or get them off their tempo and try to get more of a tempo of what we would like to do. That's one of the keys to winning the game.
Matt Barkley have any weaknesses that you've been able to see?
Very difficult. If there are any weaknesses, I know that we haven't seen it as a staff. I think that we, along with a lot of others, I'm sure, were hoping that he continued on and went to a great NFL career. We thought he was one of the 2 top quarterbacks. My own opinion, I thought he was one of the 2 top quarterbacks in the country last year, along with Luck. But he's back, and I think that you see a quarterback that has great leadership. You see a quarterback that has a great understanding of the offense. You see a quarterback that is in fully control of the game. I've never seen him lose his cool. So he's done an outstanding job. So where he's at and the accolades that he has earned everything that he's got.
Doug, the USC defense is pretty young this year. And last week they played a quarterback who hadn't thrown a pass until that first game started. So do you think Ryan might have a little bit of advantage going up against a defense that has some younger players and hasn't faced an experienced quarterback yet?
Well, I think when you say younger players, I think we've all seen. The other day I happened to throw in a game and Alabama was playing. I saw a freshman running back. And he was outstanding. He looked like a senior. And I think that when you talk about young players on the USC team, yes, they might be young in age, they might be young in college football experience, but they're not young in how they play the game. So those players play the game extremely well. I think a better answer to the question would be, I think because we played them last year, there's a lot of stuff that there are questions that maybe our players might have had that aren't there before. And I think that will help us and give us a little bit of an advantage. Not an advantage over them, but an advantage going into the game of where we would be if we didn't play them.
Coach, can you talk about the significance to you this game of playing in this venue, at least nearby where you used to coach in the NFL? The players yesterday talked about how excited they are.
I think for us, strategically, when I was informed that we would be doing this in the future, we started working on a plan from a football sense of recruiting. And I think from that standpoint, it's been outstanding. The coverage we would get in those recruiting areas is very important. People are excited. We're driving people to Facebook and Twitter. When I talk about that, we're driving our recruits. They're going on looking at it. So again, from a standpoint of the venue and where we're playing, if someone asks me what's the number one thing, why what you're doing with that, it's our recruiting.
Other questions?
But I think our players are excited to answer that question. I think it's here you go, you're going to play, and and you're playing against a team that is going to in the future have a lot of players playing in those types of venues all around. So I think from that standpoint, our players seem to be excited about playing in that venue, in that environment, against a team that pretty much has a lot of NFL pedigree.
So you win the toss on Saturday. Do you continue your practice of deferring, or?
Strategic information.
All right.
Not to be given out.
I didn't think you would. I was just checking.
And you know what? Honestly, a lot of that depends upon how things have gone during the week. How we feel. We usually have that meeting of strategic planning of the toss after today's practice. So we'll sit there as a staff and say, okay, strategically, what do we want to do? Because it's not just a matter of offense, defense, or special teams. We have to, when we put together a game plan in for us, especially in this game, all 3 phases, and throughout the season, all 3 phases have to be together in how we want to attack a team. You can't have one phase trying to slow them down, one phase trying to speed them up. Okay, you can't have one being aggressive and the other one saying, hey, let's be a little bit more conservative. The plan has to fit for us to win in all 3 phases.
You have to do anything to settle your players down. You mentioned they're excited. They're going to see that it's $1 billion stadium. They're going to see USC. It's national TV. Do you let them soak all that in and let them go, or how do you approach that?
I never really thought a lot about that unless it's a more of an intimidating factor. A hostile environment, which is not what we're going into. What we've done before is we'll go down, we'll take the team down, to New Jersey. We're staying right there, right across from the stadium, which is great. Pretty much that's where all the teams stay when they play down there. What we'll do, Mark, is the night tomorrow, we'll take our team in there. Here's a locker room, here's a stadium. So we try to get that kind of, that level of comfort put into the players the night before the game. And that's strategically what we've done before, because a lot of players haven't been in this venue. And even when we tend to play teams within our conference, we still go there because we still have a lot of young players with us. That's why at times we'll strategically travel some younger players, so this way now when they play the following year, they have been in that stadium and where they go. So strategically, that's what we try to do.
Dan?
Coach, as you try to advance this program, just go into what playing a team like USC does, playing them last year, playing them this year, going up against the best talent in the country.
Okay, I missed the beginning of that question.
Playing big games. Why does Syracuse play big games?
I think that, what happened, and I'll be honest, is that, everyone comes up, with schedule. This is a tough schedule, and I started to go back and I started thinking about, Syracuse University as a whole, not about myself as the head coach, not about the current administration, not about anyone. And I started to look, and when you look at Syracuse University as a whole in their football program, okay, they've always played those types of schedules, where they've always, and I can only speak from my experience of playing, the Nebraska, of playing Florida, playing Illinois, playing Mississippi State, so, we were not one to shy away from competition. I remember specifically sitting in my living room with my parents. Coach McPherson and Coach O'Leary, who recruited me, were there, and they were talking to me about the opportunity of playing Nebraska, who was recruiting me at the time, the opportunity of playing Florida, who was recruiting me at the time. So that, as a 17-year-old kid, was very enticing to me. I think strategically, and I can't speak for the other coaches, but I know as a player, when I was in the program here at Syracuse University, that helped me become a better player, playing against better competition. And I think that's the fastest way to become a better football team. And I believe in that. And I think that I can't speak for Coach Schwarzwalder or Coach Maloney or Coach McPherson, okay, or Coach P or Coach Robinson, but I can tell you that as a player, we felt that way. I don't know if they agreed with that, but that's what happened to those teams when you look at it. So, we're not one to shy away from competition. We'll go play it. And because the one thing that I think with all the Syracuse University football teams is that the one thing that's never been in question is character.
Any other questions for Coach? We have time for a couple more.
I did a good job today answering a lot of questions early, didn't I? Well, look,
Thanks,
we look forward to seeing you guys. I hope you guys are excited as we are. It's a great challenge and it's a great opportunity. Thank you.